I now have the honor of inviting Mr. Aftab Haider Saab, a very senior civil servant and currently Chief Executive Officer of Pakistan, a single window. Uh, Great innovation on our trade horizon, I would say. I'd encourage all to actually visit the website of Pakistan Single Window, including the trade portal that they have established under his leadership. And of course, we are very fortunate to have a partnership with them. We run the Trade Talks podcast, which is there on SDPI's and PSW's website. So, sir, over to you for your inputs, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bakar Saab, for a very kind introduction. I never thought I was a senior civil servant before resigning from civil services last year, but thank you very much for that as well. Thank you very much to SDPI and FNF for hosting us today on this panel. It's indeed an absolute honor and a delight to be sitting on the same panel with Gonzalo and Usman joining online and Dr. Bakar over there as the moderator. Thank you very much. My contribution to this talk would be less academic because I am not an academic by training or by profession, but more from the perspective of a public policy practitioner who happens to be leading a governance reform project where we are leveraging technology for bringing changes, especially in the cross-border trade sector. And I will be taking this opportunity to talk a little bit about the FTA and GSP impact on innovation and growth in Pakistan's economy, which are the key drivers of productivity and global competitiveness in the modern world. When I was invited by the SDPI colleagues to speak on this topic, I did a quick search on Pakistan's ranking on the Global Competitiveness Index. 110 out of 142, I guess, out of 141. I searched back a few years to see how Pakistan had been doing historically, especially since after joining the GSP Plus program and signing various FTAs. And to be honest, I didn't feel amused or thrilled to look at the progress. The second fact that struck me as interesting was that although Pakistan has signed FTAs with a number of countries, including China, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, the bulk of our exports go to countries with which we don't have a preferential or free trade agreement in place, namely United States. And that means that we are competing on MFN rates for products in which we could have taken advantage if we had a trade agreement in place with them. Hence, the impact of these FTAs in creating new trade may not be as significant yet as we hoped for. And third, I've also found it intriguing that most of Pakistan exports to its FTA and GSP partners are concentrated in the five traditional sectors, which are also mentioned at textiles, garments, sports, leather, surgical goods, and in which we are increasingly facing competition from other countries, which are rising up the value chain. We severely lack the capacity or the access or the product diversity to tap into the growing demand of other commodities and services that are very much in demand in the European Union or in the global markets. And which are driving the growth of Southeast Asian economies and other emerging economies. This leads us to the question of, are we really becoming competitive after joining the FTAs and GSP Plus programs? Has our enhanced access to the markets of our partner countries resulted in increased productivity, product diversification, innovation, and growth at home? Are we creating exportable surpluses that would find markets in countries on MFN rates, competing on their price and quality? I'm afraid the answer to most of these questions would not be straight yes. Pakistan has been and still is a closed economy. I was looking at an IMF report which mentioned that the share of imports and exports forms a very small percentage of our overall GDP. At the same report quoted that the share of exports in our GDP fell from the peak of 15% in 2013 to 11% in 2020. And our share in global exports just constitutes 0.13% of the global trade. And that too mostly comprises of the same products that I mentioned before. Our export mix lacks sophistication. We offer a smaller number of unique products in most of our peer countries and are steadily facing competition from other countries, moving up the value chain. So what do we need to do to become more competitive? The World Economic Forum defines competitiveness as a set of policies, institutions, and factors that determine the level of productivity of a country. And perhaps this will be a good time to reflect on whether we are transforming and developing our institutions and policies that support innovation and growth. We are living what is called as the fourth industrial revolution, in which the world has moved beyond simple digitization, computerization, and automation towards cyber physical systems. We are talking about disruptive technologies. We are talking about Internet of Things, blockchain, artificial intelligence, machine learning, virtual reality. And interestingly, most of these technologies are also finding quite a few applications in the cross-border trade ecosystem. We have all seen how technology has revolutionized transportation and communication over the past several decades, and how it has begun to shift the structure and configuration of trade. Developing countries, smaller businesses now have new opportunities as technology becomes the new great equalizer between countries, separated by a natural endowment of the factors of production. Technological innovation will enhance productivity, improve efficiency, lower transportation and communication costs, integrate logistics and global supply chains, improve connectivity on the business-to-business level, on a country-to-country level, and diminish the cost of trade. Already, the technology innovation is reshaping global trade flows by lowering transaction costs. Think about the single window initiative. What we do is basically reduce the cost of doing business by eliminating paper-based processes. Technology innovation is changing production processes. Think about artificial intelligence, 3D printing, and also creating new goods. Who would have thought that electric vehicles would be commercialized in the markets a few decades ago, for example? Think about renewables, think about digital goods. So early movers will have first advantage as we move progressively onwards towards a digital economy. The question is, are we ready? And in answer to this question, it probably lies the future of our trade competitiveness. Technology innovation will impact people and businesses and government. On the government side, it is heartening to see initiatives emerging and taking shape to rationalize and reduce the regulatory burden on businesses by leveraging technology. Pakistan Single Window, that I have the honor to lead since last year, is one such initiative by the federal government that is creating a digital platform for connecting 77 government agencies, customs, banks, traders, and private sector service providers for customs and regulatory clearances. In addition, an electronic trade information portal provides a single access points for all import, export, and transit-related information. And Sarah, when you need information again about the trade, you can simply access the trade information portal of Pakistan, which is providing the latest stats based on customs data on the imports, exports, and transit, along with top 25 destinations that we export to, or the top 25 destinations that we import from. We are building a port community system that will be connecting shipping, logistics, and transportation sectors at the seaports, airports, and the land ports. But what is more important to note here is that this initiative is just not technology oriented, but also involves significant business process reengineering, elimination or digitization of documents, and harmonization of information requirements by all the trade regulators. I'm also happy to note that Single Window is not the only initiative in the government sector. There are other government departments who are either who have started or have just or are already much ahead on their own journeys towards digital transformation. For example, the Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan, the Board of Investment, the Special Technology Zone Authority, the Export Processing Zone Authority, to name a few. Just last